Hi. Oh my gosh, it feels so good. People who know me will know this. It feels so good to be on the mic again. Um, I have just gotten back from retreat. And I go to this particular retreat. I have been 3 times. This was my third year. I missed last year. Um, and so I'm coming back feeling very aware of like what is a yes and what is a no. And I feel like that's sort of the beauty of retreat is, at least for me, because I know it's different for everybody, but going away to come home, going away in this instance, this time, to remember parts of myself, not that I've lost, but that I've lost touch with. And I can only really do that with space and like a change in environment. I can in some ways through journaling and reflection therapy and other sort of practices hear a little bit of it, but the audacity of going on retreat is a pretty powerful tool for me. So, we're going to be talking about that more at the Collective Academy. What does retreat look like for you? What's the upside? If there is a downside, what might it be? But yeah, coming back feeling very clear. And that's kind of been the theme for me this year, clarity. It feels real good. On the one hand. On the other hand, it's not comfortable. And that's part of what I think makes it really special is that it's in this like zone of tolerance that I can kind of handle in terms of discomfort. Okay, so that gets us into hi, who's missing? Ask us anything, ask me anything. Flying solo today, as was the last time I flew solo. Katie is delivering another Lego Serious Play workshop. Also in the insurance industry. No, I'm sorry, in the information management industry. We're getting a lot of interest from insurance, both health insurance, professional insurance, insurance marketplaces. So that's interesting because if I could say, the Collective Academy provides assurance that you won't need to use your insurance. Is that our new tagline? I don't know. Clearly, I could talk to myself forever, and I do. But we do have a question today. So let me pull that up. This one is, I read it and I went to my bookshelf, which is over here, and I thought, like, what sort of data, what resources do I want to pull from? What are the drop quotes? What are the citations? And if I'm being honest, it's not how I usually answer questions. It's all there. One of my strengths is input. So I'm pointing back here. I have no idea if this is the part of the brain that I even want to reference here, but I have all that. I kind of have it filed away. If you want to double click on anything that I say and sort of be like, where'd you get that? Or where can I learn more about that? Please ask me in the comments. But I'm not really good at kind of like going to that place to get to this place. I like to be here, and then if any of it resonates, I'll go there. So that's what I'm going to do today. Okay, here's our question. This one also, as I was reading it, I was like, oh, I just want to talk to this person like this. So I think that's what we'll do today. Dear Emily and Katie, when my boyfriend and I started dating, neither of us wanted kids. But as we've fallen in love and now live together, he's changed his mind and now he really wants to be a dad. I am still very much on the fence. I love him, but I find myself making pros and cons lists of having kids while I see other women knowing in their gut whether or not they want them. But I sincerely don't know. And I fear that I'll regret either decision. Big sigh for you. And of course, if I decide I definitely don't want kids, then I'll have to break up with the person I love, which makes this all that much harder. Help. Okay. So I'm going to pretend that you and I are in a conversation, Asker. I'm assuming, yeah, you're a woman, and so am I. And this is a question that sort of demands urgency, demands clarity, not just from your internal systems, but from our culture. Do you want kids or don't you? You're a woman, so this is clearly something you must be thinking about. And you must be confident in your choice and your decision. And in my experience with this very question, I've been married before, and we were together for almost 16 or 17 years. And toward the end, this question came up. And it just so happens where we both exist now, we don't have children in our separate relationships after our divorce. But in my experience, up until a certain age, this is a question. And I can tell you that I started this episode with talking about clarity. That is what we all want. We are comfort seeking missiles. So to live in a space of uncertainty is not what we want. And so sometimes, especially with something as important or heavy or future defining as this, we want to move out of it as fast as we can. So there's a couple affirmations I want to start with. One is your partner's changed his mind. And that's going to happen. That's going to happen in every relationship. I am the queen of wanting, you said it this, so that's what it is. Like, we do not deviate. And that got me in some ways into treatment for anxiety and depression, that like inflexibility, right? The commitment to there's a right way and a wrong way. And so we better do it the right way. So he changed his mind and now he wants to be a dad. You're on the fence. What I hear in that is, I'm on the fence. I don't know. I sincerely don't know. So there's a couple options there. I'm sure there's 100 options there, but I was thinking about something I learned in treatment and learned in my professional training too, but I have amnesia, so I forget these things. And I also can't practice therapy on myself. So, but radical acceptance, that's how I'm going to help you. Radical acceptance. I know. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am going to encourage you to practice radical acceptance. What is that? I have a worksheet in front of me, so I'm going to reference it from time to time just to make sure I don't miss that juicy bullet point, because I always get 2 bullet points out of 5 in my head, but I can't remember the other 3. But what is really important is facing reality. So facing the facts. The facts are you don't know and your boyfriend does. And you're not running from it. You are being with it. You are exploring it. And you're still in a place for today where you don't know. So that's one thing, right? Accepting that is where you're at. And the next thing is that you have ability to change parts of your reality. Not all of it. You and your boyfriend getting to this place is an amalgam of many things leading up to this moment, some of which you affected and some of which you can't have any effect over. So here you are, and are there parts that you can change? So can you be in conversation with yourself about it? Do you need a retreat? Do you need to be in community with other people who have gone through the discernment? Do you have moms in your life that didn't know that if they wanted kids and they had them? and they don't regret it. Do you have moms in your life that had kids and they do regret it? You're going to hear a lot less of that, but they exist. Part of what we're talking about when we talk about radical acceptance is then our ability to tolerate the distress that comes into our lives, that distress tolerance. So what you're saying when you say help is like, ooh, I'm kind of at the edges of what I want to tolerate here. So can you expand the edges a little bit by asking some of those questions and exercising that ability to change parts of your reality? I don't know. That's one thing you might try. Working within your situation to create positive change. It is potentially an impasse that if you decide you don't want children. And that is something you can survive and something that you can go through, that hardship, that pain. The hardest thing to accept is pain. That you have it, that it exists. Other people's actions can cause us pain. The Chicago weather can cause me pain. There's so many things. And we have to accept that, right? So what I don't hear you doing, listener, is saying to your boyfriend, like, well, you're going to have to, this isn't going to work for me. If you want to stay with me, right? Ultimatums. This isn't going to be something we're going to do. So, I'm going to run away from this, or I'm going to blame you for this. I very much hear you like, yeah, you're making a list of pros and cons. You're being intentional. You're being thoughtful, right? And that to me indicates a lot about you. And I will say it indicates a lot about him that he would be willing to be honest with you and not keep that to himself, knowing that you're not sure, taking that great risk to tell you the truth of his reality. And then you grapple with it together. I also hear timing here, right? You don't know. I need to know. How do I know? One of the great desires, right, is for us to, as I said earlier, like be relieved of that pain. So what you're doing when you're kind of forcing yourself into like, do I, don't I, is you're causing suffering. One of the things, human beings are maybe the only species to do this, but we have a feeling, we feel pain, and then we judge that we have that feeling, and that adds suffering. And then, it's just hard. It's harder, but it's a very normal thing for us to do. So accepting that you're at this impasse, right? There's barriers to that acceptance. And those barriers induce suffering, right? So moving toward acceptance, how do you do it? So this is the question, right? Acceptance of where you are now. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to make the decision even. But there are a few skills that you can build. And I did this too. Can you believe it? Honest to God, I have all these books from PhDs on my bookshelf. And licensed professionals, and I also went to treatment with obviously licensed professionals there. I went to graduate school, right? I think this binder from my time there is probably what I reference the most with really like life beautiful, life altering conversations, right? The ones that we roll around a lot. So here's what you can do. Mindfulness, practicing mindfulness. Through practicing mindfulness, you're really going to increase your tolerance. This is what it is for today. I don't know what's coming in the future. I'm not actually getting angry at the past or the present. I'm just here and I'm witnessing. You also can't change anything, right? So it just sort of is, right? That mindfulness ability, being able to be with this discomfort, identifying the facts. The facts are, right? You are in the space. I don't know if I want children, and my partner does. What I love about this too, if I may say, is it's introducing the issue. Such a beautiful opportunity to interrogate your own experience. Why? Why don't I know? Staying curious and open-minded is another skill that's going to get you toward acceptance. You don't sound committed to a way forward. I really don't know. I'm going to see how this goes. But your boyfriend has introduced a variable that's really having you sit with that, interrogate that. Oh my gosh, self-compassion. I feel like Katie and I, God, every coaching client I have right now inevitably has an experience of beating themselves up and calling themselves names, and also just believing that they should be capable of things that they would never expect me to be capable of. And so self-compassion, of course, Dr. Kristen Neff is the person we always talk about when we talk about self-compassion. But even a step before that, practicing self-compassion, I would love for you, listener, who's asking this question, to notice when you're putting yourself in that suffering mode. Just get to know that part of your mind that says that this is a problem that you don't know. Why don't you know? You should know. You should know. If you don't know, then you should know. So how can you treat this part that doesn't know? I don't know why I'm pointing here. What if it really was this part of the brain? And treat it with compassion. And then validation. Oh, God's right. So I'm just going to remind us of the skills I've just rattled off. Mindfulness, identifying the facts, openness, willingness. We're practicing radical acceptance here, guys. It's awesome. Self-compassion. And then self-validation, right? So these are the emotions I'm feeling. I'm afraid, honey. Like, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I don't know, but I'm also afraid that if I make a decision right now that I'll regret it. I need some time. I need maybe some space. I want to talk to some people that I really trust. And I know you'll Google it, and I know you'll go to Facebook and Instagram too. And I don't blame you for that, as you want the answer. But it's going to come. It's going to come, or you are going to be ambivalent and you are going to do something anyway. And trust that you have within you what you need to carve out what it means to live without regret from whatever decision you make. The thing about decisions is you make one and there's I don't know how many you've made today. I forget the stats. See, Katie would be really good at this. Something ridiculous. Thousands of decisions we make every day. This is a big one, but just right, you changed your mind and he changed his mind. If you decide not to have children and then down the road you decide you do, there are options for that. If you decide to have children and then down the road you're really struggling, there's community and support for that, I hope. There should be more. There should be more. So what I want to say to you is it is a life-altering decision, and you are in the period before you make it. And that's how all decisions work. A decision to leave a job, a decision to leave a marriage, a decision to start a marriage, a decision to start your own business. All of these things, right, don't happen in a moment. There are so many moments. So I want to invite you to really be mindful of the moments upcoming that are going to lead you to whatever the next lily pad is that you jump onto. And the practice of radical acceptance, double click on that if you want to hear more about it. Dialectical behavioral therapy is the framework I'm pulling from, Marsha Linehan. But there's a lot there. And if you're in therapy, you're probably experiencing this. You could also employ a therapist to help the two of you talk about it if you need it. I mean, you might not. Is this helpful? I don't know. If we were in conversation, I'll tell you right now, we'd either be having a glass of champagne, because that's fun right about now. I'm recording at 4:00. Or maybe a cup of tea. And I'd pause and say, what do you think? What do you feel? And just hear what you have to say now. So I suppose that final thought is be in conversation about it. You don't have to figure this out by yourself. You don't even have to figure it out. More will be revealed. And it sounds like you're in a very loving partnership. How lucky you got to fall in love. So good to be in love. And it's hard. Life is hard, right? All right. If you have a question, I would love to hear it. You can reach us at who'smissing.com/ask us anything. You can submit questions there. You can call us on our what do I want to call us? Our hotline. I'm going to now frantically in the background look for the phone number because I know I don't have it memorized. And I should. I know it's a Chicago area code, so that at least I know. But the phone number is 773-389-3638. Call us. You can email me, drop to the comments. You know the drill. DMs, the whole bit. We answer this stuff. Yeah, we work in leadership development. And I can tell you with confidence, that's why everyone in our organization has a master's in a mental health profession. Because leadership is absolutely about principles and strategies and tactics. And it is about what we want and who we are and what keeps us from getting there. And one of those things is radical acceptance. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you to work with the facts, to work within your environment, to make some positive change, to stay hopeful. Keep in touch. Let us know how it goes. And we'll celebrate with you whatever you decide. Thanks for listening.